Thank you everyone for joining us. My name is Rachna Gupta. I'm a digital marketing strategist with over 15 years of experience now. I lead search engine optimization and digital campaigns for various Sitecore projects. So the topic that we are going to discuss today is how to add strategic SEO value to your Sitecore conversations. So through this session, I would like to focus on some of the important SEO topics that need proper discussion at the time of planning any Sitecore project. If we focus on these topics well in advance, it will ensure that we are not only building the website, but we are also helping our customers so that they can find us on search engines. So it's a very important topic. Hope I am going able to do justice with it. So this is the question that most of our developers, Sitecore developers and teams ask us: why search engines? Why should we focus on search engines? So let me explain. 93% of online experiences today start on a search engine. So if you're looking for anything, you will go on search engines, you will search for it, and you'll find your answers. So that's why we say they are the gateways to the internet, with Google being the most important of them all. So as a search engine optimizer, we are always trying to ensure that whatever we are building is ranking well on search engine Google. So be it your Google ads, images, news, or people also ask. So your visitor is on Google searching for you under all these categories. Their experience is improving each day with search engine like Google becoming smarter and smarter. So unfortunately, this also means that as a business, our competition is also increasing. So I'm not sure if you guys have already heard about near me searches. So Google started this to improvise the results for their local businesses. So say if you are a saloon and people will search you with the keyword. So even if you were searching for saloons before, so now Google will automatically add near me to your search so that you find a saloon near your area. So this is the near me searches that have dramatically increased over a past couple of 1 year or so. So a majority of your website journeys would start on search engines, and being friends with them is something that is very good for your business, and we always recommend everyone to keep this in mind when they are building a website. So coming back to our topic, Sitecore projects. So I am going to discuss a few important things we need to ensure are planned in advance of our Sitecore project execution. So typically we can bucket most of our Sitecore projects into three broad categories. First being new builds, where we are starting the project from scratch. Second being replatforming, where we help our customers change their existing CMS and move on to Sitecore. And the third being upgrade, where we help our customers upgrade to a higher version of Sitecore. So we will be now speaking about some key SEO aspects that we should focus on while starting any of these projects. This is one of my favorite topics, that is URL standardization. So there is a lot of literature available on the internet on this subject. However, in spite of that fact, it is not uncommon to see that websites have a wide range of URL related issues. URLs with special characters, URL with things like ampersand 20, and a lot of such things. So bulk of these issues is the lack of communication on this subject while website development. So this is our pro tip number one. Make sure you block your time to discuss URL standards while starting any project. So we ensure at Conaboss, we are always doing it in advance of any project. So in case if you are wondering, why should we care about URL standards? Let me explain. A well thought through URL structure provides humans with an easy to understand glimpse of what to expect on that page. You would have noticed URLs like toddler shoes. So it explains that we are expecting toddler shoes on that page. It is a clear structure that helps search engine spiders interpret what that page is also about. So if you ensure that your URLs are clear about what to expect on that page, that not only helps your users, it also helps your search engines. But try to be relevant. It should not be talking about toddler page in the URL, but on that particular page you have something else. So that is uh, not something that we would like to do as a search engine optimizer. So always be relevant to what you are offering to your users. So in short, don't only improve your spider experience, they improve your human experience, and hence you get better rankings. So we agree that URL standards are important. So the next question we need to figure out is what to discuss. So we'll start with the URL formats and best practices. For example, we should always ensure that all the characters in the URLs are in lower cases and separated with hyphens. We should always avoid underscores, spaces, or special characters. Talk about which folders and path would be used. What is the overall information architecture for the site, and whether you would use the entire page name or a slug. Sometimes it is not a good idea to have a long URL if your page name is something that is the page title is too long. Now we have got the URLs discussed. So we should now start talking about XML sitemaps for the website. This is a common problem that most of the websites in the industry face. In my 15 years of career, I have seen a lot of websites struggle with their sitemaps. So like URLs going to a 404 pages or URL missing from the list on a sitemap is something that you would not like to do. Trust me, if you goof up with this, you send the search engine on a wild goose chase. You don't want to do this because these spiders don't want to be taken for a ride. So most of you must be wondering, it's just an XML sitemap, who cares? And I have heard this a lot of times in my career. People don't feel that sitemap is something that should be discussed in advance, and it is something that can be taken as the last thing to do in a project. Simply put, search engines care. So your XML sitemaps are nothing but a map that you hand over to a spider. They are expected to crawl your website by referring to this map. You hand over a map with issues, you have an unhappy spider. It is also inefficient and takes longer for the spider to crawl a map with faults. So instead, if you have a well-crafted sitemap, it will ensure that you have the right URLs with the search engines, and better indexing is something that is always appreciated by your clients. Finally, the most important thing, remember, you could end up getting ranked poorly because of all the issues in your sitemap. It also indicates poor quality build. So I will always recommend, go ahead, speak to your developers, speak to your project teams, and discuss about sitemaps. And in fact, even if you are developer yourself, speak to your search engine optimization team and discuss about the sitemaps, how you want it, what should be included and what should not be included. So the next question that arises is what to focus on while talking about the sitemaps. The first thing you need sorted is what is meant to be indexed and what is not meant to be indexed by search engines. Of course, if something is to be indexed, it should be on your sitemap. And if something is not to be indexed, it should not be present on your sitemap. Talk about what kind of sitemap would be required. So it is not uncommon to see dedicated sitemaps for each language, or even a nested sitemap. Whatever works for you and your client, important is that you have this conversation in advance. One of the most common issues with sitemaps of large websites is that they struggle to get updated. So that is because sometimes sitemaps are added as an afterthought when the project has completed, or the size of the site makes it difficult to index and publish. So now that you know that you need to do this, this could be handled by a scheduled crawl and publish it, or there can be any other way that you would prefer. You, as a developer, you are an expert in handling that. The secret sauce is just talk about it. Understand what all you need to include and include it in your sitemap strategy, but keep it updated. So this is the next important consideration in handling content on your website, that is the duplicate content. So many times there is a need to put a similar content on two different URLs. One of the examples that I recently faced was an article, a blog that was published as a blog as well as a press release. So while technically it's not a penalty that a search engine will put on you, but duplicate content can still sometimes impact your search engine rankings. The search engines find it difficult to understand which version of the content to rank for a specific query and which one to exclude. We need to discuss canonical tags to ensure that we provide the best search experience to our users by selecting the right page we want to focus on and declaring the other one as canonical. You will also find many such instances when the project you're working with has duplicate content. So it is really important that we discuss the need of canonical tags well in advance and then lay down a proper strategy to handle them. For pages when there is no duplicate page, you should always put a canonical tag to itself. So this informs the search engines that this page is important and you want this crawled. So now imagine you search something on search engines, found your answer, clicked on it, but you landed on a 404 page. How was your search experience? Bad, right? So you left the page immediately and now you clicked on another page where you got your answer. So what did the search engines notice? That you came to this page, but you went back immediately. So that means that page did not solve your purpose. So this is considered a both like a user experience problem as well as a search experience problem. Why did this happen? Simply because you came up with a new URL strategy for your Sitecore project and you did not pay attention to URL redirects, which is not good. You will lose a lot of search engines rankings if you do not take URL redirects into consideration. So with proper planning, we can define a good URL strategy. Whether you will use 301 or 302 redirects can all be discussed. So normally 301 redirects we use when we want to permanently redirect a page from the earlier URL to a new one, and 302 for a temporary redirect. So if you do not keep a proper redirect strategy in advance of starting the project, we might lose a lot of search engine traffic. This can also impact the existing ranking and lead to a poor human experience. So what to discuss for URL redirects? First thing, how will the redirects work after you add an SSL to your existing website? That is from HTTP, you made your website into HTTPS. So you need to address that. Second is you're getting rid of some old URLs for some reason or as per your client's new strategy. Then discuss with your client whether we need to temporarily redirect them or permanently redirect them. Sometimes your clients will come back to you saying that we want to temporarily do this to see what is the user experience on the new page, and we will do it permanently once we are sure about our new page. So that is when you put a temporary redirect. So redirect it to a new URL. That is important. We don't want 404s on the search page. You also might want to avoid redirect loops. So example, sometimes when you open a website from HTTP, it goes to HTTPS and then to a URL that follows a slash now. So with some defined logics, we can plan this URL redirects nicely. This is the last thing that I would like to discuss today is the page load speed. I'm not sure if you guys are aware about the Google's latest update where page load speed matters the most. So there is no reason why a website should be acceptable to be slow. And I encourage that all Sitecore developers, architects, and marketers to talk about this subject more often. Irrespective of the nature of a project, the overall page load speed of your site is an important topic for discussion, especially with Google's latest update. That is the Web Vital update. If you would like to discuss, search more. In fact, on Conabo's site, you will also find an article that I had written about Google's latest Web Vital update in reference to a Sitecore project. So nowadays we hear people talk about how they approach about privacy from the beginning of a project, and they call it privacy by design. I would encourage and challenge you to talk about being supersonic by design. Some of us might wonder, why should we care about speed? Well, we enjoy great mobile speeds, and pretty much every day, everything today is either 4G, fiber, or even 5G. So why does speed matter? The answer is in the question. People are now used to be blazing fast internet speeds. They are not going to wait for your page to load. They will immediately shift to a new page or a new search if your site page takes a longer time to load. So we want the website to engage and catch attention for the right reason and not want people to wait longer for your images to load, for your CSS to load, or if it has any other tools or other applications that you have put in to load. So being supersonic by design is also great for your search engines. So they can come in, your spiders, search engine spiders can come in, absorb your content quickly and move on. A longer load time can reduce the bandwidth and therefore reduces the number of pages a search engine can crawl on your site. So you would have heard sometimes when search engines come, they're not able to crawl all the pages on your website and only some rank. That is because of your page speed. So you might want to increase that. The second can be your sitemap, which should be up to date. Finally, it is no surprise that improved page load speeds have a positive impact on your search engine rankings. So let's do it. So now that we have established the need for speed, I would like to share some key discussion points that will ensure that you don't face any speed breakers. The first one is start with your usual suspects. Identify and discuss on things that hurt the speed of your pages. If it is a new website, then talk about the performance metrics for every component that you put in, interaction, and feature your plan. If it is a re-platform or an upgrade project, then being aware of your existing performance levels will give you a target to beat. So understand there are tools available on the in the market on internet that you can use to find out the speed of your website. In fact, even Google Search Console can help you with that. Understand what is the current performance of your website, and then when you're upgrading your site, try to beat that current performance and to reach a higher level. Second is discuss what is to be compressed and to what level. So you don't want to show heavy, high resolution images clogging up your network. And similarly, you don't even want to serve a grainy, low quality image. So your compression should not go to those levels where the user do not feel good about your images on your site. Last but not the least, start talking about performance as early as possible. So it could be very well be your focus on in the first few sprints. Talk about your architecture. Consider your new age approaches like Gemstack. I'm not sure if you all are experts. I am sure you would have heard about Gemstack. If you want to know more, you can go to Conabos website and read about it. And at least the next thing that you can consider is bring a CDN on board. So that is important. So now, last thing, please focus on these facts. These are some of the facts. As a search engine optimizer, I suggest everyone when they are building a website to consider, especially for your Sitecore projects, that you need to consider while with a proper planning. We do consider a lot of things during this planning phase. However, we easily miss out on SEO considerations. I've always seen it being the last aspect to be discussed. But if your website is nicely built and if it is not performing on search engines, your customer is not happy, because at the end of the day, you are going to get customers on that website through search engines. So I hope we will now start discussing and considering these topics across all our Sitecore projects, and that too in advance and not at the end afterthought. So I would like to thank every one of you for attending this session. Please do not forget to wear your mask when in public places and stay safe from COVID. With this, I open the floor for any questions or feedback.
If anyone has any questions, feel free to unmute yourself. All right, I think we're good for now, Rachna. If
Thank you
anyone
so
does
much,
have any
Annie.
questions, regarding SEO, digital strategy, anything to do with marketing, digital marketing, please feel free to reach out to Rachna. I'm sure she's going to get back to you with really valuable
Sure,
inputs.
sure, of course.
All right,
You can
thank
even
you
fill
again.
out the form at Boss.
Oh, yeah. Okay,
Thank
thank you
you.
so much. Thank you, everyone. Thanks for joining.
Thank you guys for joining. Thank you so much.